Hey guys, it is Andrea from Next YouTube Star, and I am from the United States, and I am old enough to know better, but young enough to not care, and that's as far as I'm going with my age. I am a judge on the show, as I've said, and I am a former musical theater actress. I am planning on getting back into musical theater, but what I've really got to do is retrain myself. I've had a lot of health issues, unfortunately, starting with blood clots in my lungs, both of them. And a lot of times when you get blood clots, they leave scarring in your lungs, and that reduces your ability to breathe properly. And so you got to kind of retrain yourself to be able to breathe, because we all know how breathing is important to singing. So that's something that I have to keep working on. And I also have a newly diagnosed autoimmune disease. And an autoimmune disease is basically your body fighting against itself, even when it's not sick, because it thinks it's sick, even though it's not sick, and then it's making itself sick. And it just sucks. And it can really affect your ability to sing. And so I've been really training myself. Just like you guys grow throughout the season, I'm trying to grow from musical theater actress to not really being able to sing anymore, to trying to get back into singing and eventually becoming a musical theater actress. Or because I have so little time, I work as a DJ for a radio station for classic rock, and I've been on TV a lot for paranormal, whether it's the Weather Channel, the Travel Channel, the Science Channel, anything paranormal related. You know, I've been doing a lot of shows on that, and I've written a book on the paranormal. I'm releasing my second book pretty soon, and I've also been working on a horror novel. So when, you know, because I do paranormal investigations as well, I throw that out there too. So I'm really busy, and if I don't have time to do if I don't have time to do musical theater, then I will eventually maybe open a YouTube channel and kind of maybe show my journey from how I was a professional musical theater actress to all of my health issues, and now trying to retrain myself to be a performer once again, kind of show you the journey on YouTube. I don't know. It depends on my time. Again, a lot of fingers in a lot of pots. So let's get into answering questions. All right, what do you think of the winner and the other finalists? All right, first off, I want to say I love Heather. She started off, like Petri called this a journey, and I will definitely say this was a journey. She started off as somebody that I didn't even remember. I think there were a couple times when I'm just like, okay, what did Heather sing? Okay, which one was Heather? Because she had one of the voices that kind of blended into the crowd. It sounded so similar to voices to women singing that you hear a lot. It just sounded like a replica of all these different other artists that are already out there. And it was very not so memorable. Sorry, Heather. That's just how it started. And then as she was in the competition, I thought a couple times, oh, she's not going to make it very far. I think this is going to be her last episode, or that's going to be her last episode. And then we continued on, and all of a sudden it was like, wow, that's Heather. Oh, wow, that's Heather. And, you know, she started to develop more dynamic. She started to develop more emotion. I think she got a lot more confident than she originally was, and she started to feel better about her singing abilities and her talent, and she started to exude that confidence, and I started to feel that confidence. And then at the very last episode, it was just this wow factor where I actually had chills up my spine from her. Petri a couple times said that, you know, he teared up when he heard her sing. And it was a very a visceral, emotional response that she was able to get from us. And her journey was just so amazing to watch. When it comes to Nathaniel, I was always a fan of Nathaniel. I think he has an absolutely amazing voice. And that's what made this so hard. And that's what people, I don't think, understand. Now, of course, no matter who it is, everyone is disappointed when they don't get the top spot. From the person who's the first to go, to the person who's the last to go, to the person who doesn't make number one, who's like in second place. It's always disappointing. But what they have to understand is how difficult they made this choice for us. I don't think we have ever had a deliberation that went on that long that ended with that kind of a result. And it was just because they were so close together. If we could have had a tie, they would have tied. And unfortunately, we can't end on a tie. I wish we could, because they were both deserving. But, you know, when I first heard Heather, I loved Heather, and I kind of decided Heather was my first choice. Then I heard Nathaniel, and I was just like, wow, okay, you know what? Nathaniel's my first choice. And then I kind of went back to Heather for a while. Then I finally said, nope, it's definitely Nathaniel. I'm sticking with Nathaniel. That's how tough it was just for me as an individual, trying to decide between the two and to be happy with it. Because in the end, I would have been happy with either of them winning, and it was going to break my heart for either of them to not win. So either way, it was going to be hard and happy at the same time. And then we got to deliberations, and Mark brought up a lot of great points. And in the end, I once again changed my mind back to my original decision, which was Heather. And you don't understand, like, I cried after we were done with the deliberations because I knew that I had two artists I absolutely adored. Both of them I wanted to win. One of them wasn't. And so I cried over that. But then I was happy for the other because I believed that she was equally deserving. And so I cried over that. And it was a very emotional thing. But in the end, I'm happy with where everything went, and I don't think anybody should feel bad about where they placed, because to go from almost 80 contestants in the very beginning to the top 2 is amazing. I mean, even the top, like even the top 10, I mean, to make it to the top 10 out of almost 80 people is just great. And that brings me also to Kelsey. Kelsey is such a talented singer. She is so wonderful. She's got so much dynamic. She's got so much emotion. I think she's got a fantastic talent. She's going to go far if she keeps working on it and keeps pushing through. I mean, for her to make it as far as she did, she should be so proud. And then we got Scott, and Scott has been my problem child since the very first episode. And of course, it was Mark who really pushed for him. And then in the end, it was Petri who really pushed for him. And I was always one of these believers that he really needs more time to grow and more like work with a vocal coach to learn about pulling back instead of pushing too hard, and, you know, to learn how you can be powerful without being overpowering. But then in this last episode, in the finale, he really gave me what I've been looking for. He gave me powerful without being overpowering. He gave me soft, but yet, you know, full of emotion. I mean, it was everything I wanted. It was a little too late at that point, but it was everything that I was looking for from the very first episode for Scott. He finally showed me he can do it, and I really do think that if he gets a vocal coach and learns how to control it and brings that to every performance, he is going to be a fantastic rocker. I mean, he's got that rock quality. He just needs to learn a little bit more control. But I'm very proud of the entire finale cast. All 4 of them did such an amazing job, and they should all be proud. It doesn't matter if you win, if you lose, you guys made it over all of the other people who wanted to make it and who tried to make it and didn't. You guys made it, and you should be very proud. All right, next is, how has your experience been being part of the show? Well, I've been in the show now for 3 seasons, and I've always loved it, and I still love it. And there's just so much that goes into it. There's just, like I said, there's so much fighting between us judges to try to get what we want out of the rankings. And a lot of times there's some drama behind the scenes with the contestants, you know, that sometimes is difficult to work with. But in the end, the final product, I'm always proud of. And I have never not been proud of the role that I've played in the show. How has it been working together with the other judges? Any issues, and what do you think about them? Well, my main problem with Petri is that he is so introverted. It is so hard to get an opinion out of this guy. I mean, seriously, to get an opinion out of him is like pulling teeth. You don't know how hard Mark and I have to work to try to get him to just give us an opinion. And then Mark on the other end is such a prima donna that, I mean, seriously, when we do deliberations, he demands yellow M&Ms, not the peanuts, just the regular yellow M&Ms. And it cannot have any other kind of M&Ms touching them, because if any other M&M is touching his yellow M&Ms, he freaks. I mean, he is such a prima donna. And I'm just kidding. Working with them is great. I mean, they're 2 polar opposites. I mean, Petri always has one opinion, and Mark is guaranteed to have the opposite opinion. And I'm usually kind of in the middle. I lean more Petri usually, but this season, for the first time, I tended to kind of agree with Mark, which is as shocking to me as it is to anybody else. But I think that's what I like, is we do have so many different opinions. And that's why there are 3 judges, because we all have an opinion. And it's more fun when, when we kind of discuss it and we fight it out and we just stick to our opinions and we try to really show why we're thinking the way we're thinking. And it just keeps things interesting. I mean, if we're always fighting and never agreeing, that can get boring. But if we're always agreeing, that gets boring. And so I think the three dynamics of him on one end, him on the other end, and me in the middle, I think it really worked out. And I'm going to miss Mark. I mean, Mark is not going to be a judge in the coming up season. And he's got so much on his plate, though, with his work and the fact he's getting married. And I'm going to miss him, though. I mean, I started #BlameMark. That was my hashtag. And now I don't have anybody to blame. And it's going to be so sad. And I hope, maybe after he's married and things calm down a little bit, maybe he'll come back as a guest judge. Or maybe if there's future seasons, which I really hope there are, because this show is so fun. It's such a great way for people just to showcase what their talent are, and to be able to just have a little fun. I think this is a great show and I've enjoyed it so much. So if there are future episodes beyond the next season, seasons beyond the next season, I hope he comes back as a judge. But yeah, I'm going to miss Mark, and I hope we find someone equally as dynamic as he is. But yeah, working with the other judges has been fun, but it's not without its difficulties. With our guest judges, we had one guest judge who lost half of our deliberations. Like, our deliberation was over an hour long, and he lost about 40 minutes of it because for some reason it didn't save and it didn't record, and so we lost all of that. And then we had one who didn't show up, like the day of, never showed up. I think I was going to sit that episode out because I had something else to do, but then I decided that I was going to do it. I think that's what, I don't know, can't remember if that's how it ended up, but in the end, the three of us ended up doing it. There was no guest judge that time. Another guest judge, she was debating for one particular singer, and in the end she realized, oh, I've got the wrong person. I meant this person, and I think she switched Heather and Kelsey, those two, up together, and changed our entire ranking system, and we had to go and re-rank everything and then re-debate the two again, and that kind of made it difficult. And then there was time when I had an emergency and I had to leave town, and I was going to record from the hotel, but then the power went out and I couldn't get the power. I had no internet access. I had nowhere to go in order to record. And then finally the power came back on and we were able to record, but Petri had already fallen asleep because he thought we weren't going to record. So there were some difficulties, and I think, we're coming from different time zones. They're in their countries in Europe, and I'm here in America, and our time zones are all different, and trying to get together with everybody, including guest judges, is really difficult. I think eliminating guest judges, except on a rare occasion, and shortening the seasons is really going to be a really big help in getting things running a little smoother. Let's see. What do you think about the other contestants? Anyone specific you want to mention? I do want to make mention of Gabriel and Trinity. They were from another season. They had, come and they didn't make it all the way. I don't think they made it to the top 10. And you know what? Or maybe they made it to the top 10. I can't really remember. That was another season ago. But they came back this season and they grew so much. I mean, Trinity had a really hard time with timing and with pitch the last time we heard her. This time she was amazing. She did such a great job. And the one thing that hampered her and ended up being her ultimate downfall was illness. And that sucks that it had to be that way, but illness really knocked her off her game this time. But she had grown so much as a singer. I was so proud of her. And same with Gabriel. Gabriel has this nasality, kind of like Barbra Streisand, how they sing kind of nasal. But when I first heard him, it just was a hindrance to him. Now he learned how to work it into his singing so that it is more of his character than it is a hindrance. And it actually, started to sound pretty good with his singing. And I think he grew so much and he did so well. But again, illness, was another downfall. There was just so much illness this season. I mean, everybody was getting sick. I mean, there's the coronavirus, there's the normal influenza, there's the stomach bugs, and there's the colds, and there's so many things going on because it's winter, and there's vacations, and I think that's the hard part right there. So I think if we kind of chop the seasons down shorter, there's less of a chance for all of that other stuff to creep in. I mean, exams, there was a lot of the contestants were so stressed out because of exams, and that was kind of stressing them out, and that was showing in their vocal. So I think if we cut it down shorter, I think we're going to be able to work around, like, maybe wait till after exams to start another season, that kind of a thing. I think that's going to really be better. But when it comes to the contestants, all of them were so amazing this season, and I'm so proud of Gabriel and Trinity for when they came back, and they were just so good compared to the last time I heard them, and watching them grow was amazing. Least favorite theme and favorite theme, and why? Okay, so this is going to be a 2-for-1. My favorite theme and my least favorite theme are the same. It's the judge's choice. Normally the judge's choice can be really interesting, and this season it just wasn't, because nobody picked the songs that I picked. I picked songs that literally would have been just so easy for these singers to perform, and it would have been expanding their genre just a little bit. It would have been letting them show a little versatility without going beyond what they were capable of doing. It would have showcased their voice, it would showcase their voice and showcase their versatility. Nobody chose the songs that I picked. Disappointed in that. And in the end, everybody seemed to just, I don't know what it was this particular season with the judge's choice, but nobody seemed to embrace it that well, and it just was not my favorite theme this time around. Usually I really like judge's choice. It's really fun to watch how they take the songs that we pick and run with them. This season it just didn't seem to quite get there. Do I have any criticism for the show? Really the only thing that I say is, like I said, maybe cut out the guest judges for because it's, like I said, it's really hard for us to begin with, because we're all on different time zones, the three of us main judges, and different countries. And so when we throw guest judges into that, a lot of times it just kind of goes off the rails. This season we had such a hard time with guest judges, and it wasn't their fault. It wasn't always their fault too. I mean, things happen. But I think if we cut out the guest judges, except on rare occasions, like if Mark wants to come back, Mark's always welcome, of course. But if we do that and then shorten the seasons and try to kind of work it in where, people don't have exams, or there's going to be less illness because, the flu season is really strong in some places during certain months, and, and just kind of try to make it a little bit shorter and kind of squeeze it in like after exams or things like that, I think we would have an amazing show. The one thing I love about this show is that it always grows, it always changes, and it always gets better. We learn from our mistakes and we grow. And so I don't really have any worry that we're not going to be able to adapt. Do I have any tips for future contestants? 100% yes. For one thing, when you're going to audition, make sure you have a decent mic. You don't have to get an expensive mic that costs a couple $100, but you also don't want to use like a Walmart mic that is like $20. Sound quality is important. You can have a great voice, but if you have a terrible mic, we're not going to hear that great voice, and you're going to get passed over. So definitely come in with a decent, even if you have a mid-quality mic, it's better than a low-quality mic. Then when you're in the competition, take what we judges say, our criticisms to heart, and just try to learn from it. And don't take it too personally. Just remember, we're trying to help you grow as performers. But yeah, we're also, sometimes we maybe will poke fun at you. It's not because we're poking fun at you to hurt your feelings. This is a show, and we want to keep it entertaining for people who watch. Don't take it personally, but do listen to the basic critique and try to grow from it. And make use of the mentors. The mentors are there to help you with, like, some of them have mixing capabilities, and they can help you with mixing. They can help you pick songs. They can help you if you don't feel like you're comfortable with what you performed. They can listen to it and tell you where you can improve. There were so many great mentors that we had this season, and very few of them were actually utilized by maybe a scattering of contestants. So definitely utilize those mentors. And remember, have fun. I mean, there's so much drama sometimes about somebody getting kicked out too early, or somebody getting a harsh criticism, or somebody not winning competitions, or, and there's always so much drama about it. Guys, it's not that serious. What we want from this show is for you to be able to showcase your talent. So you got to come in and give us your absolute best every time in hopes that you could eventually make it to the end. And if you don't, that's okay. That doesn't mean that you're not talented. It just means that this wasn't your time, that this wasn't maybe your best, and you just got to keep working at it. So don't take it so personally. Just have fun with it. Give us your best. And if it doesn't work out, don't stop trying. You don't know how many times that I've auditioned for a musical and I didn't get it, or I would get the lead as the understudy for the lead, and it's disappointing, but you grow from it and you learn from it and you just keep going. So don't be so dramatic about every little thing. Have fun, take it for what it is, and then just keep going. Even if you don't win, that doesn't mean anything. Just keep working. If you love doing what you're doing, eventually you are going to get to where you want to go, whether you win a competition or not. And really, that's it. I mean, that's all I have to add. I'm already at almost 20 minutes, so I'm going to cut it off here. I'm just going to say I'm so excited for what the next season will bring. Every time we do this, we evolve in some way. The first season that I did this, we never had live deliberations. We basically recorded our individual feedback, and then we just talked about it on Skype a little bit, and that was the end of that. And then we evolved into live deliberations, but we still did the individual feedback, and then we evolved again into live deliberations, and we dropped the individual feedback because we already said everything that we want to say. And every season we try to grow, we try to evolve, and we try to improve. And every season I'm very proud of what we end up coming up with, and so I'm looking forward to what we're going to do next season, the way we're going to evolve, especially now that Mark won't be there, and we're going to get a new judge, and we're going to shorten the season a little bit, and we're going to try to work out the finer details, and we're going to see how it goes. And depending on what we get out of that, we'll evolve or we'll just work on it and make it better. And I think every season we always are going to bring you something that you're going to enjoy, you're going to have fun with, and you're going to love. So tell all of your friends about it, and make sure you tune in to the next season of Next YouTube Star.